up, guys, and welcome to episode 24 of Mr. Millennial's Revenge. I'm your host, Nick DeMaria. Thanks for tuning in. On this week's episode, I am joined by guitarist, activist, and showrunner Conor Perreault, and we talk about saving our venues, saving our stages, and it doesn't get any more dire than Never Ending Books in New Haven, Connecticut, which is probably the most DIY venue the city has ever seen, and unfortunately, it might go away. So Conor and I talk about the Kickstarter campaign and the campaign to save Never Ending Books, and kind of keep it in the state it was in before the pandemic. But we talk about music as well, and some of the cool antics Conor has gone into on stage with more noise. Noise focused, noise core, if you will, kind of music and stuff, which is definitely under the jazz umbrella. It definitely is. Thanks to the free jazz movement, I'd like to say, and the avant-garde jazz movement, we have stuff like what is often referred to as noise music, and we can get into the nooks and crannies some other time. But first, Mind the Hang is this Thursday. Today is March 10th, 2021, and tomorrow, March 11th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. The Mind the Hang series returns with the Schmidt Brothers presenting a live concert at the LA Center of Contemporary Art on Trumbull Street in New Haven, Connecticut. You can tune in at facebook.com/NHVJU. We'll be streaming that concert live. We'll also be streaming it live on Instagram at NHV_underground. And it feels like we just did a Mind the Hang. And I'm really excited to be able to present another one for your visual and listening pleasure. So tune in tomorrow on one of our social media pages and check out the Schmidt Brothers. We all know them and love them. Matt Schmidt on saxophones, Mike Schmidt on saxophones, Pete Blake on bass. I haven't seen Pete in fucking forever, so I'm really excited to see him again. And then Adam Solcheski, who's been a guest on the pod, is playing drums. So nice little cordless quartet. This should be a great show. Check it out. We're also going to be taking tips for the band on PayPal, so look out for ways you can contribute to the band. And speaking of contributions, glad you asked. The New Haven Jazz Underground is a grassroots community-based organization dedicated to concerts, clinics, and jam sessions, all in the name of jazz in the great city of New Haven, Connecticut, the pizza capital of the world. We are completely crowd-funded, so please consider going to patreon.com/NHVJU and signing up for as low as $2 a month. And you can help us put on concerts every month at the LA Center of Contemporary Art for our Mind the Hang series. And when things start lifting and going slightly back to normal, we'll be having more concerts. And you bet your sweet ass we can use all the financial help that we can get. So please consider becoming a subscriber at patreon.com/NHVJU. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube, where you can find this episode and all of our other episodes of Mr. Millennial's Revenge. They're all on YouTube. They're going to all be on Apple Podcasts soon. But Apple Podcasts is now where you could find Mr. Millennial's Revenge. So please hit that subscribe button. Leave us a rating, and it helps more people see the show when you leave a rating and a review, and it is greatly appreciated. And make sure you follow us on Facebook and Instagram and all that gobbledygook, and stay up to date on all your NHVJU news and offers and all that good stuff. So I'm feeling pretty optimistic today. I'm about a week out from vaccine number 2, and man, when you get it, You get this feeling. I was telling Conor in the interview. You get this feeling like the light at the tunnel is truly there. Like you know that this is the beginning of the end, which is so great, and it just makes me excited for all the possible events that we can have just mere months away. Keep those fingers crossed that people continue to do what they're supposed to be doing. Wear your mask, stay distant, get that vaccine, and we can, start partying again in, maybe the middle of 2021. So, before I go and get into the interview, make sure you check out Jeremy Pelt's book. I had Jeremy on the show a couple of weeks ago. We talked about his book, Griot, This is Important, which is a review. What am I talking about? It's an interview book. He conducted a series of interviews of other great jazz musicians. And, man, I just love seeing so many people tag it on social media and checking it out. Check out the episode with Jeremy where we get into the book and the new record. But, man, it is really cool to see it get so much buzz. So make sure you go to jeremypelt.net and order that new book. And, I'm doing this out of the love of the music. I'm not getting any kickback for that commercial. Seriously. It's a wonderful book. I'm probably going to start reading it a second time because I just ate it up the first time. So, let's get to my interview with Conor Perreault. I met him a few years ago. He ran a music series out of Never Ending Books, and I was really excited to be able to play a solo trumpet set. I don't get to do that very often, so I was very excited to be able to present, something that I am pretty passionate about. I want to explore more solo trumpet playing. And it took me a lot of guts to do my 2019 performance, which was March of 2019, which is pretty crazy to think about. I love the challenge of it, but it takes a lot of guts, and I didn't have all of them. But I appreciated Conor booking me as part of a bill back in 2019. And being able to put myself out there, it did me well to perform a 20-minute free solo set. I mean, talk about being pulled out of your comfort zone. And I would try to check out what Conor was doing, or one of the shows he was putting on, and they were all at Never Ending Books, and as I said before, Never Ending Books might close shop for good, the venue at least. So we talk about that, and we talk about some of Conor's music and what he's been up to. So let's get to my interview with guitarist, composer, performer, activist, showrunner, Mr. Conor Perreault. And joining me now via Zoom is guitarist Conor Perreault. Thanks for coming on the show, man.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been a legit long time. That is technically the theme of the show. A lot of interviews start with, "Man, it's been a long time since I've seen you," with obvious reasons. But no, it's really been a while. So how are you?
Doing all right. It's crazy times, but making do.
Yeah. I got my first vaccination, and thank you. And that is probably the first time, after they stuck me, they sit you down for 15 minutes and watch you, and then they let you go. I think that was the first time I felt like real relief. That was a real sense that things might actually start getting back to normal, which is such a cliche, but
yeah, it's like that thing where you don't even realize that you've been hunching your shoulders all day, and then you stop.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tense for a
Exactly.
year.
Yeah. You're kind of like, oh, why was I raising my arm all year long? I guess it's very similar to, the blood finally going back to a limb that fell asleep. It's a very similar to that kind of feeling. So what have you been up to? Like, to keep your mind from from being lost, like all of us do. Have you taken up any new projects? Are you just playing Wii or what? How you been spending your time in the last year at
Well,
least?
I mean, I've been lucky in the sense that, my job never went away.
There you go.
I've been working from home since, I served for about a year. I think it was like this week last year that we all ran into our hidey holes. But I've been working the whole time, so that takes up a lot of my time, as work does, and I got my family, I got my little kitties, got my two young daughters at home, and they take up a lot of my time too. Uh, and they're doing school at home, so so there's a lot of like the basic stuff of life has continued just in a different way.
A lot of adulting.
Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of pandemic era adulting, because I'm sure you're kind of a teacher's assistant at home, right?
Yeah, at least.
Yeah. It's funny you should say. Friday is actually the 365th day for me. Yeah. That's my official sent home from work. For 2 weeks. All gigs after that were canceled, and then with the the open-ended, we'll see how things are at the end of the month. Yeah. 365 we'll get days ago.
Summer.
Yeah.
I remember saying that.
Yeah. I did a couple of summer gigs. I was lucky enough. I did a couple of those patio gigs, some of the bars I work at, and I was like super grateful. And I just remember like being so excited at any possibility of any tune being played. I was like, oh man, I'll call it. I'll play, Spanish Flea, I'll play that, man. I'm just happy to be working.
Just hum a few bars and I'll go.
Yeah, right. But for anyone who doesn't know you, you're like, how would you describe the kind of musician you are? Because I and already that sounds patronizing.
No, go for it. This is gonna be fun.
Edgy, experimental. Like, here on Mr. Millennial's Revenge, we encompass all styles of jazz under the umbrella of jazz. So, bebop, from bebop to free bop, as and everything in between. If you want to scream into a snare drum for an hour set, I'm down with it. So, yeah, but no, how would you describe the music you primarily focus on?
Yeah, I mean, when I'm, the term I always like is creative music.
Sure.
It can be anything. But I definitely come from like the punk rock noise music world,
Cool.
That's sort of where I got into it, of just like, like being a kid, getting a guitar, and like, instead of practicing scales, leaning the guitar against the amp and turning it up until it feeds back.
Yep.
And then turning the knobs, and it sounds different when you turn the knobs, and then like becoming, coming to adulthood and learning that like other people like to do that too.
Yeah. You're not, in a funny way, you're not alone in that kind of weirdness or so. You know what I mean? Or like yeah. No, I'm laughing and smiling because I know I totally love this kind of stuff. I know exactly the type of kid you're talking about because I've said on the show many times, I cut my teeth in the punk rock world too, but I was like a horn player in a ska band. So like the only people I was friends with were the other horn players of other ska bands. And then there's this period, there would be these random kids, who, maybe they were the guitar player for this band or the bass player for that band. And they were into that like one weird album, that was like quote unquote noisecore or something. And they would also kind of be loners in their own bands. Mm-hmm. And we the horn players kind of like, we're like, no, this stuff, because the way I like to joke about it is we were all studying jazz anyway, so we were a little bit more open-minded to like the fucking weird stuff.
Yeah.
And then like the lead singers were like chasing all the underage girls, as we learned in the in the mid-teens,
Yeah.
the sins of pop punk. But yeah, no. I instantly think about like 5 kids that I've definitely lost touch with, unfortunately, who would, after like the Minor Threat CD was over, would put on something that was like so fucking out and different. And I remember being like, oh, that's so fucking cool. And like the normies were like, oh, fuck this, and
Yeah.
so like the noise stuff, man, that's a whole other world that I wish I could just spend more time with. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I think there's like, I have like, it's like the horseshoe theory of genre is that like wherever you start from, whether it's jazz or pop or classical or whatever, if you get adventurous enough and just sort of curious enough and things get weird, like it all kind of meets in the middle.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And like, so I remember like just being like in high school and like there was like a music class that was like, it wasn't band, it wasn't choir, it was just like recording instruments, like I learned how to use a 4-track and Fruity Loops and stuff in this class.
Sure.
And like, but it was in the band hall, and so I'd go and hang out with those guys, and like they would be like, oh yeah, that's free jazz.
Yeah.
What you're doing, where you're just making things up, we call that free jazz.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, cool.
There's definitely a meme where, the meme where it's like all the swords are pointing in the center. It's like a Knights of the Round Table kind of thing. I think there's one where like one sword is like, Miles Davis 60s quintet. One sword is like Weather Report. One sword is like, Fugazi. One sword is like, it's all this random shit, and then in the center it's like Ornette Coleman or something, or like that was like what brought them all together. I need to find that meme because I remember like losing my shit at it because I was like I have a friend for each one of these swords. This is so great.
I know that guy.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh, that's this person, Yeah, no, it's a beautiful thing. I totally agree with you. All genres do have their weird like branch, like you really can't get away from any style of music. And now I'm trying to think of examples, but really every genre of music has its like weird redheaded stepchild, which is like the experimental offshoot of whatever the blanket genre is.
Yeah. Like I was just thinking about how like, earlier we were talking about like the last gig, last March. And I come from an Irish family, and March is reaping season for the people who play Irish music.
Oh, of course.
because of Paddy's Day. It's coming up next week, a week from today. And like I had a gig lined up with my like family band with like my uncle and my cousin.
Oh, sick.
We were going to go up and bash out, Whiskey or the Devil for the people in a bar up in Western Mass. But like I, getting in, listening to that stuff, and then like, and then like putting on a Pogues record, which is then like punk rock plus Irish music. And then like, there's a song, Body of an American, great song, it has this like minute long like drone intro where it's just like, it's just like the uilleann pipes just going for an extended period of time. And it's like, it's like punk rock plus the Irish music that my mom taught me, plus the drone music, it's all the same. It all fits together into one big happy thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what I prefer, as opposed to like, insert genre, insert Nazi, and who's like, no, you can't play, this certain music sounds a certain way for the following reasons. I'd rather it all, it all comes together at some point. It's funny that you brought up the Pogues, because I was trying to think of, they were called the Real Mackenzies, I think. I think they were like a Scottish version of the Pogues, where like they had the bagpipes, but they weren't like I feel like I'm gonna ostracize some people here. They weren't like as douchey as like the Dropkick
Yeah,
Murphys kind
yeah,
of are,
exactly. Yeah,
but kind of, if I remember right, they were kind of weird. And now I gotta go look. I think that was
yeah.
the name of them. I used to listen to them on UNH's radio station, like after class in high school. I think that was the name of the band. I'm gonna have to look it up. If anyone knows the real Mackenzies, drop me a text message. But yeah, man, no, I have my jazz, straight ahead loves, and my, experimental, love, and then like, you know, I dig Nate Woolley a lot. And I was just listening to one of his records where, like, for the first 20 minutes, he's like blowing air through the trumpet while there's a drone. And it's just spooky sounding. And it was really cool. And it was just one of those albums where I was like, oh, I wonder where this is going to go. And then I realized I had zoned out. Like I had
You're already there.
Well, like exactly. I was like, damn it, Nate, you got me. All of a sudden I realized like 20 minutes went by and I was like, wow, that really worked.
That's the drone zone, baby.
Yeah, exactly. The drone zone. Yeah, I think, having your fingers dipped in different genres like that, I think it's healthy for a musician to get out there and sometimes realize that music has different purposes, in different reasons for existing. I think like noise-based music makes you listen differently. Like whenever I would go to a Joe Morris concert, at the State House, I was listening differently than if I went to like the jam session at Cafe 9, which was happening like at the same time, like one block over.
Yeah.
It just, there are different, I try to teach this to my students too. There certainly are different forms of listening as well as making music. So,
Yeah. But like, even like, I'm just like going back to thinking about like what you were asking me earlier about what I've been doing. And like, I found that, I had before lockdown, I had, really been like going pretty hard in the noise scene locally, putting on shows and stuff. And then, trying to, keep things moving as best I can, with whatever I can add to it. But then like, when I went home and I was at home all the time, I was just like plucking on my acoustic guitar and like writing songs.
Oh, sure.
Becoming like a folk singer,
You fucking sell out. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No, I'm totally joking. No, I get it. I totally get it, because after like a gig playing jazz standards, I would put on like NPR. I would be like, I need to hear my monotony and something I could space out to. Or, on the way to the gig, I'm fucking cranking out something that has nothing to do with what I'm about to do. And it's all about that balance,
Yeah, exactly.
It really is. Part of the reason why I like playing, with the NHIC guys, the New Haven Improvisers Collective, or any kind of more creative experimental outing is because like sometimes it's nice to just like fucking mess around on the horn and just see what happens. I find that very cathartic, especially if you're practicing patterns and structures and everything's like with a metronome and stuff. To be able to just like, fart on a snare drum, if I can quote one of my favorite movies, Airheads. It could be very fun to just like experiment and like try, see how the instrument works.
Yeah, it's so freeing. Like, I another thing I did back, a year ago, was there's this thing called X Fest. I don't know if you're familiar with it at all.
X Fest.
X Fest, yeah.
Okay.
And it was up in Lowell, Mass. I've done it I did it the first time I did it. It was in Brooklyn, at the Bohemian Grove. No. At the Glove there, a long lost DIY space in Bed-Stuy. But this time it was in Lowell, and what they do is they basically just everyone signs up. Like there's like, maybe 20, 30 people sign up. They put together combos of like 5, 6 people at random.
Okay.
And just say go.
That's cool. That's really cool.
And like it was like in this like room, and like I found a basketball and like I was up there playing and I was like, wasn't feeling what I was doing. So I just started bouncing the ball and like listening to the sound of the ball bouncing. And I was like, okay, this is right. This feels good. I'm playing the basketball now.
Okay.
This is my instrument for the next 15 minutes, is bouncing this basketball and like twirling it around and smacking it and stuff. And I don't know, it's so freeing to be able to reach that sort of mind space where like to just kind of say yes to whatever is happening around you.
Well, that's actually that's like a very Zen practice. Like you are reaching a childlike state, and in like Zazen study, like that's like something you try to do with an activity, whereas like you are just experiencing the whatever it is, whether you're sitting or bouncing a basketball. We'll take your example specifically, like just finding joy and just focusing on that activity. That is like the essence of like Zen Buddhism and like practicing Zen. So you should not feel any kind of bashfulness or sheepishness for like being like, yeah, this was cool, I enjoyed myself. Like I think we're just, especially Western humans, man, we're just programmed not to like things.
Yeah.
We're just hot wired to like, if you're having a good time, then it's got to be stupid. That is like, yeah. Well, it's
hard enough.
yeah, no, and it's funny, like that's the, like we should be we got to stop ourselves from doing that. In all seriousness, you were finding this great joy in a very simple activity. That's like what you should be doing. Because really you're creating this like great feeling and great experience focusing on one thing. People don't do that. People can't, people can't even sit by themselves with just their thoughts, especially nowadays. That really rises above, it. And then my old rant related to this is like a great, an example of it is like, nerdy shit is cool nowadays, right? Nerdy shit, like being a 40-year-old man reading comic books is nothing to shun anymore. Like you'll actually like find women who are looking specifically for men who like admit they like, you know what I mean, or whatever. And I say to my student, I teach middle school kids, and I'm like, they'll wear their Star Wars t-shirts or their Marvel t-shirts and stuff, and I'd be like, that's so unfair, because when I was a kid, I would have I couldn't wear my Star Wars shirt to school because I'd get beaten up and made fun of. Like I remember the day I wore like an Empire Strikes Back t-shirt on the bus in middle school, and like I got roasted for it, and like never did it again. And now you can like flaunt this shit because it's everywhere. But to stay focused on the matter, it's like, now that liking Marvel and superheroes and Star Wars and being a nerd, all this nerdy shit, now that it's cool to like it, it's like almost an admission that like the only reason why you like it is it's fun and it makes you feel good, and that's okay. Imagine if we did that with so many other things. Unfortunately, like these things I'm listing, they've become like commodities now, like we do with everything. But it's like a very small reminder that this stuff can be enjoyable, give you release the dopamine, get the neurons firing. It's okay to be happy. And, and then the finish, to loop around to music. It's okay to have a good time playing music. And I feel like that is the last lesson a lot of musicians learn, is like, are you having fun?
Yeah.
That's my old man rant.
I love it.
For the 100th episode in a row. But no. To get back on track here, you were running a music series at I think you did it at Best Video as well as Never Ending Books, or was it just Never Ending Books? Because I definitely want to talk about Never Ending Books in a second. But was your series only there, or was it also at other venues?
So the series was at Never Ending Books. But it was like, but it was, so what happened was, Carl Testa was doing the Uncertainty.
The Uncertainty, yeah.
The late lamented Uncertainty music series.
Yeah.
which was like my introduction into the world of music in New Haven, pretty much.
Oh, no way. Really?
Yeah. Like I when I was like, I got to get out and see some stuff. I came across it and I was like, I like weird shit.
Okay.
Well, there's weird shit there.
let's pause for a second, get everybody on track with us. I wanted to have you on the show because the name of this episode is Save Our Venues. And we want to talk about saving Never Ending Books, which is a niche music venue on State Street in New Haven. It's a little bookstore that has an even littler stage and is home to probably some of the longest running underground music shows in the city that like I've known of. I first came to Never Ending Books probably in 2007, probably. Yeah, 7 or 8. And there's been all kinds of different residencies and different bands occupying that stage. And I'm not kidding, that stage is small, but it's always had great shows. So you were mentioning Carl Testa. He ran what was called the Uncertainty Music Series, which ran for a long time.
10 years?
Yeah, a few years. And Carl's a bass player and composer and electronic musician based out of New Haven. And he was bringing in you would have, the local experimental musicians play, but then he would have people on tour making a stop at Never Ending Books, and you could catch some serious musicians on a random I don't know, they were on Saturday nights or something.
It's the second Saturday of every month.
Oh, okay. And
yeah.
So I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but I wanted to get everyone on the same page as we went on from there. So you're telling me that some of the first music in this world that we're talking about you caught at Carl's series, huh? Uncertainty Music Series. Tell me more about that.
I mean, so I was just totally unaware that people were making creative music in New Haven. I sort of just had my eyes and ears closed.
Sure.
But then I decided I wanted to change that, and came across this Uncertainty Music Series, and I was like, oh, that sounds like some weird stuff. I like weird stuff. I'm gonna go check it out. Sure. And sure enough, the first day I went, the first time I went, Ann Rhodes, Carl's wife, wonderful singer in her own right, Red Rainbow, what's up? She had a graphical score that she had sewn. So it was like a huge fabric stretched over a frame, huge, it was 8 feet long or something.
Oh, wow.
and,
wow.
And she had stitched thread into this thing in lines and patterns, and had a little combo up who were just playing that, playing the graphical score. And I was like, and it was just one of those moments that you have every once in a while where you're like, I am exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
A door has opened up to me and now I'm going to walk through. And so that was sort of my introduction to that whole scene of all those guys. Light is pissing me off 1 second.
Yeah, no problem. I have the same problem. I think the sun will be coming through my office window in a very obnoxious way in about 20 minutes. So I hear you.
So where was I? So I met those guys, and then through it being at Never Ending Books, I found my way to the New Haven Improvisers Collective and met Bob Gorey and such, and went down and played with them a couple times, and then I was off to the races, being a part of the community, and I was like, yeah, I love this. This is these are good people, and I want to be around these people, and I want to be involved in these situations. And it all happened at Never Ending Books.
Oh, sure.
I had been talking to Roger about using the space to have shows.
Roger's the owner of the building.
Roger's the owner, yeah. Roger.
I don't know. I only saw him once. I actually only saw him once, said hi to him once, and that was it. And somebody was like, "That's the guy that owns the building." I was like, "Well, he's a nice man," like
He is he's a very nice man, but he's a character, and
sure.
he generally when a gig is going on, he'll like sort of lurk around in the back. He's got a little back room and he just reads his books there and stuff, and it's cool. But I talked to him, and eventually he was like, well, the way I like to do it is I just want you to give you a day, and Carl's finishing up, so how about you take over the second Saturday of every month?
Ah, okay.
And so I was like, oh, okay. I'll see if I can make that work.
Yeah.
And I did for 2 years almost.
Yeah, at least. Yeah, because COVID shut you down, right? You didn't end the series before. I can't. I mean, that's the thing. Like, yeah, you were still going. You had me on this. You had me on a bill, but I think it was like maybe it was 2 years ago now.
It was almost exactly 2 years ago. I actually.
No, really?
I got the Facebook thing.
Okay. I got to look then. Yeah. So that first off, that's awesome to hear, and I know exactly how you feel, because a lot of times these series start when a club owner or venue owner just kind of gives like a random kid he does, I'll give you a day. And it's like, what you don't realize, if you're inexperienced, what you don't realize is you're taking work off this person's plate, because he's like, oh, I don't have to deal with the bands. I'll just talk to Nick, or I'll talk to Conor. They do the rest of the work. And the same thing happened to me with the Outer Space.
Okay.
So Steve Rogers had given me Sunday afternoons or some Sunday evenings, and I ran a series for like, let's see how long. I think nearly 7 or 6 years, from like 2010, 11, give or take, to probably 2011. So probably 6 years, 2011 to at least till they closed, like 2017, I want to say. Yeah, it was just like, I'll give you a day. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, for, pretty green at the time. So I was just making sure that I had something booked, and, this, that, and the other thing. And before you know it, it becomes like kind of your first gig at the showrunner side, which very few musicians, I feel like, experience, but to just jump back, I remember, I guess 2 years ago exactly, I did a solo set, and I kick myself for not like hitting you up earlier to come back and do it again. It takes me about a year because I think that was like a year since the last time I had done like a solo trumpet set, and it usually takes me a year to mentally get myself going to do it. And now that I haven't been able to do it, like, there's a little bit more bravery in the tank. But anyway, what were some of the shows that stuck out to you that you enjoyed booking there at Never Ending Books?
Oh gosh. One that I like, because it's kind of got a funny little hook to it, is that like a friend of a friend, has a band. They're up in Portland, Maine, and it's just an accordion and drums, right?
Cool.
And they kind of rock out with it, and they were booking a tour, and got my name, hit me up, and I was like, yeah, that sounds totally weird, and I can't imagine anyone else booking that. So
you're just like, crossing off on the checklist, like weird, loud, weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Everything I like, and everything that like rock and roll bar promoters don't like.
Exactly.
which is where, so it had to happen in Never Ending Books. That's what that is for, right? And so I was like, well, it's an accordion. I'm going to go all in. And I called up Adam Matlock, and I was like, got an accordion player. We're going to do all accordions.
All right.
And then
it's a Weird Al tribute night. No.
Yeah. everybody rides the bus. But and then like I went out and bought like a child's accordion and like taped a contact mic to it. And I was like,
Nice.
I'm going to do a set with an accordion too.
Yeah, yeah.
And it like broke
That's funny.
during the set.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. And they like came back again the next year and was like, we got to do it again.
Yeah. It, it's like, it's, yeah, like very, even though the music might be challenging or a little strange at times, the experience itself is really the value. It's like, because you could still have these great musical social experiences at like such a tiny, obscure little hole in the wall place. And that brings me to my next question. And I think the answer is going to be pretty obvious. But what do you feel like the importance of a venue like Neverending Books and one similar are to a city's music scene? What do you think is the benefit of a place like Neverending Books when you have that rock club just down the block? You've got another one a few blocks up, and then you got like the classy jazz bar, 2 blocks down from you. What is the importance of a venue like Neverending Books, you think?
Well, I think it's the community aspect of it.
Yeah.
It's like that is it's the community and it's the freedom, right? Because the whole sort of the ethos of Neverending Books. Like I was just over there last night and talking to Roger, and he was, because we'll get into talking about the collective trying to
yeah
money for that later on. But I was meeting with those guys, and Roger came and was talking to us about sort of his vision and his sort of ethos of the whole thing, and how like the books are always free, and you never there's no, you don't charge admission, you ask for a donation. It's and so no one gets turned away. Anyone can come in, anyone can show up, and they would. I like pretty much every time I'd have a show, you open the door and someone would just be walking by and like, holy crap, there's music going on in there, and just walk in and check out a tune or two. But yeah, and so like that sense of freedom where you're not, there's no other motive where you're like trying to create a vibe where people want to buy drinks, or get people into the bar to buy drinks, or whatever.
Asses in the seats, basically.
Asses in the seats, yeah. When you're just sort of, I'm just putting on my show, doing my little creative show, and someone else is going to do their little creative show, and it's someone who lives down the block, coming up, and they're gonna, there's a lady who I've seen there a bunch of times who just has a bunch of those like singing bowls, like the meditation singing bowls.
Yeah.
Whole table full of them, all different tones, and she'll just dong dong dong, and that's her little bit.
Yeah,
she's just doing that, and like I can't imagine that ever being a thing that would get asses in seats, but like it's so important to like have your little creative thing and to be able to share it, and have a place where you can go and both give and get that energy from the people who you live with. And thinking about how we've all been living for this past year, I feel like everyone has probably learned a little bit more of an appreciation for community, right?
Yeah.
And just the people around you, and that it matters to sort of have people around you in your life and everyone doing stuff together, that stuff has this meaning and weight to it that's more than just like the commodity of selling some tickets or whatever.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually still have been playing my jazz brunch gig on Sundays since they brought me back probably in late August, and I'm still going strong, which is a whole story in of itself. But I do notice that my tip jar is more full than like it has ever been. Nice. And I've had people come up and say like, I just loved that there was live music, and I agree with you. Like with everything going on, people took shit for granted, so like the joke is this summer is going to be fucking wild.
Everyone gets laid.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, where'd those drinks come from? It's a party, Marge. Doesn't have to make sense. But yeah, it's funny. I agree with you. It's like, first off, it keeps this honesty to music and art that might not that it that might just exist, we'll say, more in a venue where you're not worried about overhead and alcohol sales and food sales and all, and turnover of the crowd and stuff. I think there's also this like it's like more of a laser focus of reaching people, like you're only going to have so many people in the audience, whether because the place is physically not big enough or the show might not be as attended as, say, like, some mega concert at College Street down the street. But you can like almost reach individual people more, more in that way. And then, also it's just nice to be able to try something new. Like when, I know that I only have like one band that I play with that can play like Cafe 9. I love Cafe 9. I love it. But I really only have like my jazz funk group is like the group that plays there, because anything of the experimental aspect will definitely not do well, and that, and no one wants to, and, they have a straight ahead slot. So I can't bring like a straight ahead jazz quintet to like a rock bill, so it allows you to like do weird experimentations. And that's where I've always done my, anything like that myself. I had a duo with Paul Belbusti a few years ago. It was just trumpet and drums. Yeah, we were called Jump Italiano, man. And I'll tell you, that was some of the most fun I've ever had on the bandstand. Like, it was a very short-lived project, but man, I absolutely loved it. And I think we played Neverending Books maybe like 3 or 4 times. It was so fun to do that. I wish I had taken advantage of like that venue more. So again, to beat a dead horse, once things start coming back, it's like, definitely be more open to putting myself out there or trying to collaborate with others. That's another thing too, is anyone who's worked at that venue is a collaborator. So these venues like Neverending Books are safe havens for musicians that want to work with other musicians and make art, basically.
Yeah. I mean, it's easy in our times to scoff at like art for art's sake, but my heart tells me that it matters. So that's the direction that I'm going to keep going in.
The only forgiving thing is art, it's not just us. It's not just this era that scoffs at art for being art. It was funny. I was just rewatching Mad Men, and there's a scene where they break into one of the boss's offices because he has a Rothko on the wall. And I forgot about this scene.
Yeah.
And this is like, probably like 1962 or 3 or something. And, they're like looking at it and they're like, the fuck am I looking at? And like most of them are not impressed. And then I can't remember which character it is now, but they're like mesmerized by it. And it's like, it's such a relatable scene because that shit still happens today. You go see a piece of abstract art or even just something more modern, not popular, not pop culture based. And people are just like, oh, whatever, but then there's that one person who needs to be peeled away from it. And that still happens today. So, art for art's sake will always be the underdog. And I think that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But, but talk about the campaign, because there's a campaign to save Neverending Books.
Yes. Well,
so give some background. Yeah. Give us the 411 on that.
Yeah. So we've been talking about this space. So your listeners now know, if they didn't already, what it is. Roger, the proprietor, who's been the proprietor there for God knows how long, decades. I don't even know. I hope, I kind of want to like ask him to like actually like write down the history of it.
Sure.
It's a thing that I've been thinking about after talking to him last night. But so the space is there, but he decided last year that time to close up shop. Um, with the pandemic, no one was coming in, obviously.
Yeah.
Other other revenue streams had dried up, and his life was changing, and so he's like, I don't want to, and it was, up until now, it's been just one man band, just him
Yeah.
doing the thing. If you wanted to do it, you had to call up the landline that goes to the back,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he would return your call a couple days later.
Yep.
And that's the only way you could get a thing, besides walking in there and hopefully and finding him if you're lucky. So he was like, okay, I'm gonna shut it down. It's over, and like it was a thing. It was all over. He said it was done. There was an article in the Independent about
Oh yeah. Yeah.
not a thing anymore. And then my friend Sam Mashaw, or Sam Moth to her fans, that's her stage name, was like, what if we didn't do that?
Yeah.
And so she like went and like talked to Roger, talked to the landlord, and like and then got this group of people together, saying, could we keep this thing going? And it went through some permutations, and some people came onto the project and left the project, and it's sort of whittled down to this group of like 6 people, 6, 7, 8 people. I'm one of them.
Yeah.
And it was just sort of the self-selecting thing of like the people who kept going to meetings and kept having ideas about different things about how we could possibly, get the money to keep the thing going, without like sacrificing its unique charms.
Yeah. Right. Without losing it.
Without losing it. Yeah.
Saving it without losing it. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, you keep saying saving, and it's funny because last night Roger was like, "You're not saving never ending books. I'm never ending books, and I'm going to keep doing it." And like he has this idea where he's still got a bunch of books, and he's going to like set up a table at the farmer's market where people can come and take a book, leave a book. So never ending books, as with Roger's thing, is going to be this thing that you find around town. And so, but he's still going to be, if the thing goes, he would still be a part of the shop in this other separate kind of side thing. But we're still working it all out.
Sure.
A lot of details to work out. But eventually, a bunch of ideas were thrown around. Eventually, we came on the idea that, we'll do a Kickstarter. So we're doing a Kickstarter now, and it's live now. And I imagine you'll be putting the link in the description or whatever.
Yes. They'll go in the show notes for sure.
Yeah. But it's all or nothing, and it's so if we reach the pledge goal, then we get the money, and then we go do the thing. And if we don't reach the pledge goal, then we don't take anyone's money and we walk away. And it's sort of it serves two purposes, where like on one hand, it's looking to get a little bit of money so that we can, pay the rent for a couple months and have the space, and then have a little breathing room of time to actually work on building it into what it could be. But then also it's a way to sort of gauge public interest. Are there enough people who care enough about this sort of thing to throw some money at it?
What is the if you could share with me, what is the current game plan? Like, what's the future look like if you make this financial goal? So say you get the money, say that you get all the money you wanted, so you could pay the rent and extend your time frame. What's the end goal? What is the new Never Ending Books look like then?
Yeah. Well, I'm sort of imagining it. You can sort of imagine it in like phases.
Sure.
And like the first phase would just be maintaining, right? Keeping things roughly as they were, but continuing on.
Sure.
And this group of us, this collective of us, would then, like, sort of a thing that we've been talking a lot about is sort of formalizing a lot of the process that had been just sort of in Roger's head. And so where, like, if someone wanted to do a gig at the show, there would be like a sort of more formalized process for that. We were talking about forming our thing into a nonprofit, 501c or whatever
Yep.
those.
Yep.
You're one of those, right?
No, I'm actually not. Only because I encourage you to become one. I worked for one, but I when I went solo, it just it I
Wasn't the right mom.
one of the reasons why I went solo is because the nonprofit experience was working against the organization I was with. So, because nonprofits, you need to like follow bylaws and have boards and all this stuff. At least the one I was in. And when you have members who refuse to step down as board members and give up their vote, but then don't participate in the process in which they've joined, it makes for a very slow moving, non-efficient, nonprofit. But that's just my experience. But I think becoming a nonprofit would probably be a really good idea.
Yeah, but I mean that's just one of the things that we're sort of floating around as far as like the main sort of idea is how do we keep this thing going, but get it into shape so that it can be sustainable. And sort of, so what kind of revenue streams could we think up that would actually not betray the ethos of the
Sure.
book. And not, like we're not gonna be like, oh, now you have to pay for the books. You want that money, like I feel like that wouldn't be doing the right thing, and that wouldn't be continuing to read your books. And so that's sort of the kind of thing that we've been thinking about. But what we've been doing, but sort of more short term, is that like, people have been in there cleaning things up, organizing the books. Like we like all the books are like, we have to, the philosophy section and
yeah.
fiction is over here now, instead of just being everything is everywhere.
Getting that Dewey Decibel system going.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a librarian during the day. So
are you really?
Yeah.
Oh no, that was just like by chance that I remembered what that was. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well placed.
I'm an academic librarian, so we use Library of Congress, but that's okay.
Gotcha.
He's a total weirdo, man. I don't know if you ever learned about Melville Dewey, but he's a weirdo.
I would imagine you'd have to be any kind of system designer. But anyway.
Don't want to go on that tangent. What was I talking about?
Just cleaning it up.
Organizing it a bit more. And having a social media presence for the first time ever.
Yeah. I don't think it even has like a Facebook page.
Yeah. Like there was one that like someone set up, 10 years ago that wasn't really active.
Yeah.
There's a website, neveranewbooks.net.
No shit. Never knew.
Yeah.
A GeoCities.
Well, yeah, it looked like up to a month ago, it looked like a GeoCities page. It looked like it was in 1996. But it was Pam, Bob Gorey's wife, had the domain there, and she was like, yeah, take it, and we put up a slightly nicer page there, and
nice,
with a link to our Kickstarter and a link to the newsletter where people can learn about the thing. But the other thing, the thing that I want to talk about is that we're pretty committed to it being an open collective sort of thing. Like the people who are doing it now, me and a couple other people, we're just the ones who chose to be involved, and anyone else, your listeners, anyone could be involved. Just shoot us an email.
Yeah.
Say I want to do a thing, and we will. The goal is to be able to absorb anything that's coming in from the community, and then also down the line, reaching out to people in the community. Get an idea of trying to get a bit more diversity in the people who are coming in. Because there's kind of a self-selecting thing about who goes into a shop, walks into a shop in East Rock.
Yeah.
But if you reach out and you say, invite people in from other parts of town, maybe you can make a richer sort of thing.
Sure.
Yeah. So there's a lot of big dreams and a lot of question marks about how it's all going to work ultimately, but basically just continuing the thing as it's been, as we all, those of us who know it, sort of, if you've been there, you kind of know the vibe, you get the vibe.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to it's one of those things where it's like, it when you're there and then you understand it, but it's hard to explain to anyone who hasn't been there. But I can attest that it is one of the most open and open-minded venues probably in the city. And I really hope that you guys reach that goal, because it broke my heart to see that story. I was just like, this fucking pandemic, like that's like what went through my mind, because I immediately assumed it was because of that,
Mm-hmm.
Real quick, was it ever really a store? It is a storefront. It's like a classic storefront, Americana, brick building, storefront, and then, apartments above it. Was it actually a bookstore at one point, or was it just Roger's never-ending books?
I don't know what it was before Roger got his hands on it.
Yeah.
And Roger got his hands on it so long ago. And as far as I know, as long as he's had the space, it's been like that.
Wow.
And he's like very, like, he's funny because, like, he'll go back and forth between, like, being very, like, idealistic, like it must be free because that's right, and it's right and good to have the books be free, and you take a book and leave a book, and if you want to give a donation to the store, you can, if you feel like it in your heart. And then in the same breath, he'll be like, yeah, and I just don't really want to deal with, like, taxes of having to, like, sell a thing, and there's, like, paperwork, and I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
So it's sort of both sides of that thing, where it's very idealistic but then also very realistic in a way.
Yeah, I hear you. What's the name of the collective again?
It's the Never Ending Books Collective.
Never Ending Books Collective.
Yeah.
Okay. Before I forget, let's get all that info, like, on the show. So it's the Never Ending Books Collective. What is the website?
Yeah. Let me pull up here. It's neverendingbooks.net.
.net. Okay.
Yeah. And that there's, a donate. I'm looking at it now, and there's a donation a button to bring you to the Kickstarter.
Gotcha. So there's a Kickstarter to reach. What's your goal? What are you hoping to get?
The goal is $12,500 or $12,500.
All right, $12,500. Everyone, dig deep and give to the Kickstarter at neverendingbooks.net for the Never Ending Books Collective to keep this venue afloat in a way. I know I keep saying save, and I'm technically incorrect, but for me, it's save the venue. I feel like for any musician who has played there, it's save the venue.
Yeah.
Man, is there any other information that you want to get out about the campaign? I just want to make sure we cover all our bases.
Yeah. We're on all the social medias. So I'm gonna, and it's generally Never Ending Books Collective in some regard. On there's a Facebook page, there's an Instagram, I think we have a Twitter as well.
Okay.
And it's Never Ending Books Collective on all of those things.
Okay, so check it out, hit subscribe and all that stuff.
Yeah, subscribe, share, and if you do feel like this is a thing that tugs at your heartstrings, that matters to you the way it matters to me, or even a fraction of the way it matters to me.
No, I think it does. I think people do want to make a difference, especially, I'm definitely in that camp like you. I stayed employed the whole year and felt like when I got my, it's like the stimulus money I tried to spend because the way I see it is like, that's the point. Like I've been lucky. So I'm going to use this money to either buy goods and services because it is helping other people either stay afloat or be able to then buy goods or services, pay it forward attitude. And I think a lot of people feel like, they can help. So, good for you to not give up on this. I feel like a lot of people, especially with what was going on all year, at this point especially, would just be like, fuck it, man. I'm just gonna. It's just too big for me. But the fact that you put together a collective and you're not giving up, that's something to be said. So, I really hope you make your goal. I really do.
Thank you.
I
hope so too. Yeah, and if you do, tell your friends about it. Post about it.
Yeah,
like and subscribe.
Yeah, right. No. Well, go ahead.
And if any of your listeners want to think like this is something that they'd want to be a part of,
yes,
we are open, and you can all the information that I just said, and it's on the website and stuff. Like, just get in touch and just say, hey, I want to be involved, and you can come to meet. We've been meeting like weekly just to talk about all the stuff that's going on. And
that's great.
People keep coming in and offering their little bit, and because we're trying to make it sustainable. So it's not just one guy. It's going to be this whole.
The only way for it to be sustainable is it's got to be bigger than one person. It's got to have that community effort for sure. Yeah. So anyone tuning in, definitely reach out to Conor and tell him that you want to get involved. And then, yeah, man, hopefully, I'm hoping for the best. And, when the underground has its long-awaited jazz festival that we don't know will ever happen anytime soon, we're gonna have a concert at Never Ending Books for sure, because we wanted to. Last year we were supposed to have our second jazz block party. We call it that because we can't call it legally can't call it a jazz festival. We were already targeting the venues and what kind of shows we wanted to put on, and we wanted to have a whole avant-garde free jazz experimental music night as part of the block party. And we were going to hit up you and everyone involved in Never Ending Books. And I think actually lockdown was maybe 2 days after our last coordinating meeting. So it's long coming. So when it does happen, we are going to collaborate and get everyone together for a big fucking orgy. So all right, man. And then before I let you go, tell us, is there anywhere where we can hear your music and all the hip shit that you put out? Give us those links.
Well, the main thing is Human Flourishing on Bandcamp, humanflourishing.bandcamp.com. And that's the place, that's sort of my main project where I put all most of my nonsense.
Yeah. Nonsense. I like that. Fridays, right? Every couple of Fridays, Bandcamp waives fees for the artist. So make sure you hit up Human Flourishing at Bandcamp and check out some of Conor's stuff. Conor Perreault, it's been so great to have you on the show. I wish you the absolute best of luck. The underground will be making a donation. I had to wait for our donations to come in before I could move something for you. But I really, seriously, man, keep at it. Don't stop until it's like, totally dead, and then keep going a little bit more just to see if you can revive it before you give up. And thank you for doing this, because if there's one thing, maybe you do know this, if there's one thing about being an organizer, you don't get thanked enough. So from one organizer to another, thank you for your hard work, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This has been a pleasure.
All right, man. Take care. I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation with Conor, and I hope that you go to his Kickstarter campaign and please make a donation. Please. The pandemic took a year of our life. It really did. And I think the twisting of any kind of metaphoric knife would be the loss of a bar, a restaurant, an art gallery, a music venue, a record shop that didn't make it. It's just an additional casualty of this fucking terrible year that we all collectively had, and as a community, we can come back and build back up, stronger than ever, which I know is a huge fucking stupid cliche, but for real, we need to make sure that we are always supporting our venues, bars, restaurants, record shops, musicians as much as possible. So please, any little bit counts. You heard, I think the number was 12,000. Let's try to help out the Never Ending Books Collective. If you've never been there, you need to. I bet if you go on YouTube and search, Never Ending Books, you will find tons of concerts posted there. There's definitely articles about shows that happen there in the New Haven Independent. Check them out. See what you can dig up. Don't miss out on the opportunity to help keep a great venue open. So, and when all this nonsense is over, we're going to go to every fucking show, right? We're going to go to all the venues, all the bars, all the shows, and we're going to celebrate life and community, which, was so terribly taken away from us for a year. So, please check out that Kickstarter campaign. Thanks to Conor and his efforts. I know what it's like, man. It's a hard job to maintain a series or a venue or both. It is a tough, thankless job, and without people like Conor, there would be no scene. So make sure you do your part. So, leaving you with some news I heard. Tracy Morgan is going to play Louis Armstrong in an upcoming biopic. Is that the greatest thing ever or not? Perhaps somewhere in the middle. It's definitely going to be good. I don't think it could be bad. Tracy Morgan's amazing. Shout out to 30 Rock and that glorious show. I need to go. I can't believe throughout the pandemic I never checked out or rewatched any 30 Rock. It's pretty crazy. Did my fair share of Mad Men in Parks and Rec though, so not completely, dropping the ball here. Anyway, I'm out of here. Please consider that donation to the Kickstarter of Never Ending Books, and that'll do the episode. This has been Mr. Millennial's Revenge. I'm your host, Nick DeMaria. This is a production of the New Haven Jazz Underground. And I will see you at the next episode. Thank you so much. Take care.